Hello, welcome to My Startup TV. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. On the occasion of International IVF Day, we are putting a spotlight on a global health issue, which is infertility. According to WHO, 1 in 6 global population in the reproductive age suffers from infertility. In India itself, the percentage is about 6% of couples suffer, which is about translates to 15 to 20 million couples who suffer from this global issue, which is infertility. Now, there are ways to get around this, which is surrogacy is one of them, IVF is one of them, and infertility treatment. Today, I have with me Dr. Saarthak Bakshi, who's the co-founder of Risaa IVF, a 10 plus years clinic that is helping couples in the process. Dr. Saarthak, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and it's a pleasure to speak on this historical World IVF Day. If I have to tell you why do we tell this is the World IVF Day is because today the first IVF baby was born in the world. In 1978, Louis Brown was born on July 25th. And this was done because of the invention and with the hard work of the scientists that were working on the IVF industry or technology, if I have to say, at that point of time. So it's it's what I think around 47 years since this technology has been into existence, and we have grown leaps and bounds of the on that since then. But it's a miracle now that we are able to have babies, even for those. It might seem that it's a very easy and it's like any other healthcare service, but do you see that we're making a human life out of starting from an lab, which is in vitro, where as it is defined, in vitro fertilization. So from a lab, when you're growing a human life and then expanding it through the body and then coming, it's nothing more than less than a miracle. And I would want everyone to just know the process, get to understand and experience the biology of it, from what you see in the movies, which is very surprising. One cell and then they interact and make an embryo, and then it divides and further divides, and then a baby shapes takes place over the course of 9 months. So it's as beautiful as that, what we see in the microscope when we're doing the IVF procedure.
And for people Bharat, IVF or something parallel to that is not new. It has been there in our text, ancient texts. One could do. Very famously, they talk about the Kauravas, 100 Kauravas being born in a pot, and a lot of people translate that to nothing but matkas, isn't it? And that is translates to nothing but IVF or the modern day IVF. So, as a culture in India, we are open to the whole idea or the concept of IVF. But then, with all that, still there is a stigma around it, isn't it?
A lot of stigma. No, I can tell you I've seen hundreds of patients that come to our centers, and it's not easy. If I'll tell you very frequently and very transparently, if you go to, if any of your relative, any one of your known to, any friend is in a hospital, you get to know, you visit him. In all your life cycle, if I assume you're 40 years old or 45, even you won't even get to know someone who has undergone IVF, let alone saying that I am undergoing IVF and come and visit me in the center or come and visit me at my house only. And I'm suffering through this infertility. Nobody shares. This is a separate issue that ki awareness aa gayi hai ya nahi, that you are aware what is IVF, and people are getting more, using the service more, getting treatment through IVF. That is about awareness and education. But the stigma surrounding it, if I had undergone IVF and if I tell you that, that means, somehow it's related to a taboo in our society, and it's taboo. This is not a taboo, but some kind of psychological issue that we suffer. We as human beings, we feel less of ourselves. You're a man, I'm a man. And if I say, I've undergone IVF, and I could say I could put this on my wife, but say if I have some sort of sperm issues, there is some problem with my semen, and it could be anything. There are hundreds of parameters, and it could be any one of the problem. Do you feel less of a man, or do you feel people feel, I'm asking you this question is because what I've got to know when I've asked you hundreds of patients, why don't you tell everyone what you have been through, share your journey so that other people can get inspired. And but this is the choice. No, we can't tell. It is too shameful for us. As if you become less of a man if you are having sperm issues. To tell you very frankly, there are people who are very healthy, who are athletic, who exercise every day, who have never smoked, never had a drink in their life. So all the good habits of life. Even then, there are certain sort of problem with their sperm. If they can have any, it's a lifestyle problem. It's a hormonal problem. It can happen to you. Unlike obesity or unlike any other thing, which you can see happening to physical changes, which can manifest itself on the body in any problem which is happening inside you, the changes that is happening inside your body which you don't get to see. So similarly, you should not feel less of a man, or you should not feel less of yourself. And this is what I want to change whenever I talk to anyone about infertility or IVF. Similarly for women, women are way more emotional. They tend to share much more than men do, and they can go through their journey. But I haven't seen even women sharing their journey with other people and telling, no, this is the problem. I could not, get pregnant. There could be a problem with my uterus. There could be a problem with the production of eggs. There could be a problem with the quality of eggs. There could be some sort of other problem, PCOS, endometriosis, some sort of thing that they are suffering from. But they will also not get into the nitty-gritties because it somehow symbolizes that you are less of a being, which is something that we really need to tell other people, that this can happen to anyone and everyone. So please stop thinking that it makes you small. Please share your story out there. Please inspire other people and get them to tell them, get them to coincide in you, coexist with you and co-feel with you that you have undergone this journey and we are here with you for this journey.
No, I fully agree with you on that it is a social stigma, big social stigma. That's why I made that comment that coming from Bharat, this should have been accepted without any questions. But then we do. So, in your experience in last a decade plus of running Risha IVF, how has been the experience? I mean, is it where does the problem? I mean, is it more for the men, or is it more for the women that you see the infertility comes up, which is why this problem is, or is it? I mean, what are the percentage of men coming up with infertility because of which they don't have children, or is it problem with women?
First of all, there's a myth that IVF is a women problem, or the myth that infertility is only due to women. Honestly, 50% of the infertility is due to men itself. So if I have to give a ratio, 50% of men, 50% of women problems and men problems, there are some times that both of the individuals are healthy and still 20% infertility can be unexplained, can be no rhyme or reason. But when you're talking about, it's an equivalent problem for both the genders. And when it's an equivalent problem for both the genders, there is an onus, or the responsibility lies for both the genders to come for the treatment and support each other equally. In our scenario, what we have seen all throughout our journey is that men generally, don't tend to acknowledge the problem with themselves. They'll try to, dust it under the rug. अरे ठीक है, आप जो ट्रीटमेंट करनी है आप करिए, ज्यादा हमें बस बच्चा दे दीजिए, rather than getting into it कि ठीक है आपकी there is some sort of problem with the motility, the count is less than 10 million or less than a million, or the morphology is not right, or you should start taking supplements for 6 months and we are prescribing you these medicines and then come for another checkup. So that kind of, I have seen that men generally do not acknowledge the fact that there can be a problem with them, which is one of the other things. And I'll give you a very interesting fact that in my parents' time, my father or my grandfather, the WHO, World Health Organization, the annual average sperm count for any man was apparently 120 million at my grandfather's time and probably 180 to 100 million at my father's time. Nowadays, and during this time, WHO has come out with the fact that the average sperm count is 40 million or so. So it is decreasing that rapidly. And there are certain studies by 2050 or 55, it can come down to less than 5 million. So we are alarmingly decreasing with the average sperm count in men. Further, It's not that women are not do not have that their share of problems. PCOS is increasing, menopause is happening faster, the delayed marriages, has a there's a direct biological relationship with the number of eggs for women, and at a later age when they get married, that number decreases tremendously. Post 34, 35, there's a sharp decline. So there are multiple reasons out there through which infertility is increasing rampantly. If I have to give you one more number, in a country of 1.45 billion people, and I get this asked a lot, ki, in India, do we want more babies? We are already 1.45 billion people. But I definitely tell that ki, mm, no matter, we may be 145 crore people, but think of those people who do not have one child. IVF is not for people who have three and are wanting the fourth one, or who have four and wanting the fifth one. There are millions of couples who don't have, lakhs of people who don't even have one child. And there's something called as TFR, total fertility rate, which means the population should be replenished. कि एक youth population है, एक old population है. The amount of old population which they, as they keep passing away, and the number of people that should be born to keep replacing that, the ratio is 2.1. India right now is at that borderline ratio 2.1. All the developed countries in the world, America, Japan, the whole of Europe, Australia, they're less than that, they're 1.6, which is telling you that their older population is way higher and they're not producing enough babies to replace those older people. They're already on a decline ratio.
This is that's the very reason, right, where you should see some of the politicians, leaders have made a comment of asking people to increase the number of children in India. And coming back to your point about, it's been women who have been carrying this burden, isn't, of if being childless, than the men. So when you interact with couple, do you see men, okay, as you said, they don't want to acknowledge it, and they want to just get over with it, right? But do you see them emotionally providing that emotional support to their wife or their spouse, when she, because this is what I know is that it is not an easy process. One is emotionally it drains the woman, the other is she has to undergo a huge medical cycle through this, and that's not easy again. So during this period, do you see men emotionally supporting, standing with their spouse?
That's really a question. The
But do they?
Oh, so definitely, as a couple, I have seen that yes, men are supportive, because the journey is way more difficult for a woman than a man. A man only has to give a semen sample, whereas the woman has to undergo 10, 12 days of injection. The hormonal changes inside a woman are a lot. They're being super ovulated, and hence, we are, in a nutshell, we are playing around with a little bit of hormones over there. So they are supposed to be more moody, more emotional, more demanding. And I think it's just the best time where any husband can be supportive and needs to be there for their spouse, no matter what, because the journey is together. So if you're asking me now, I will always say that IVF is not a man's problem or a woman's problem. It's a couple's problem. And if both the couples, I mean, both the genders and the husband and the wife are not going to be emotionally supportive, mentally supportive, and psychologically there for each other, it actually affects the success rates. For us, the cycle does not have 100% success rate. World over, the success rates can hover around between 40, 50, 60% at the max. But this emotional, this well-being, and the caretaking that the spouses take for each other, that definitely helps in bringing up the success rate, even though marginally, even if there's a 1 or 2 percentage point chance that your success can improve. I think we believe we need to support our spouse and get those happy hormones flowing through us. Once those happy hormones keep flowing through us, that definitely increases our chances of success.
And given the fact that you said, the 40, it's only 40% is the success rate, and that a woman has to go through, is invested emotionally and also physically has to go through that process, and with 40% success rate, is there any number of attempts that you would recommend or you would say that a woman should try?
To be in a very offshoot scenario, I have seen people getting 9 to 10 IVF cycles and then getting successful. And then there are very lucky people who get successful within the first IVF cycle. I do not, you cannot say that there has to be an end to it. Every cycle is an understanding. So if we also have a patient who has undergone an IVF cycle and has failed with us, we try to understand why it failed. What was the question? Did the embryo not get implanted? If it got implanted, did it not grow? Did it grow certainly? Was there problem with the egg quality? Was the problem with the sperm quality? So even every failure teaches you. I mean, that's my motto in life, that every failure teaches you everything. So in the similar way, every cycle teaches us something. And in the next cycle that we try something different. We try something else which we did not try the first time to increase our chances of success. And hence, I would not like to put an end to it, but definitely what your body, what your mind can support, and how much can you take is obviously the other factors which, by the number of IVF cycles that you should go around. Since there's not an advocate of anything, but we have evolved our science has evolved so much that we have sperm donors, we have egg donors, we have surrogate mothers, we have all sort of third party assisted reproductions through which we can increase or decrease the chances of success. So if we can, we definitely tend to go for those options if that helps in increasing the chances of success.
And is there an age bar beyond which
A woman should not try surrogacy? I mean, like once they hit menopause, which is 40 or 40 plus.
The ART law, we are all governed by the assisted reproductive technology law brought by the government. And in that, it is clearly stated that anyone, for a man, the higher limit for someone to become a father is now 55 years. And for a woman, it's 50 years. So that's the capping of the IVF cycle or surrogacy for that fact, that's the biological age that you can take the help of an IVF specialist like us if you're trying for to become a parent. After 55 for a man and after 50 for a woman, you cannot undergo any treatment.
and when you say 50 for
Women,
women,
which clearly means, she would have reached that menopause stage. And just for the understanding of common man, medically it is possible for a woman who has passed, who's gone into menopause, to give birth to a child.
From someone else and then you implant it back. Otherwise, yes, there are very few offshoot cases where you can make them bleed again and try them, though the chances of success are very less. As I said, the medical science has evolved so much that we have a few things that we can try. But the most easy solution is an egg donor IVF for someone who's undergone menopause.
now I want to connect another point here.
In the West, uh, women in a very early age, they tend to freeze their eggs, just as a precautionary measure. So if a lady, in India is, or a woman is going through IVF, when she's still, producing eggs, would you recommend at that point of time to also take this option? Because given the fact that you can go up to 50, that freeze some eggs and then keep trying, even if you hit into menopause, then you don't have to take a donor. Also, if that is possible, does your clinic, Risaa IVF, do you provide that support?
Well, we do provide egg freezing services. I would rather tell you that, and we have done it already. We're doing it already. I think we would have done it for more than 200 women. We have frozen their eggs. They're preserved with us. Uh, if we have to counsel someone for egg preservation, our first question is, our first general sort of counseling is that, are you ready to not get married, or she's not prepared? Whenever someone approaches us, so first question is, because we have seen either people have their corporate journey or their professional journey they're undertaking for which they cannot get pregnant right now, or they don't want to get pregnant. Second, the most reason is they haven't found the right one. They haven't found their partner, their soulmate, their lover, whoever so be. Since for them the biological clock is on a downward trend, but post 34, 35, as I said, it goes down tremendously. A lot of people have taken that step at 32, at 33, at 34, at the max, to preserve their fertility because, as I said, either they haven't found the right partner, or they haven't figured out, that this is not the right time for them. Right now, they are focused on their career or some other reason. Or thirdly, as a partner, as a couple, they have decided that, we don't want to have a baby probably 5 years down the line. So in all those scenarios, it's always better to preserve your fertility. For men, that is not a problem because, you have a higher sperm count and you only require one sperm out of millions of sperm. But Dinah Hayden, Priyanka Chopra, a lot of these celebrities have already undergone egg freezing and they later had babies through IVF once they were ready. So we have a few clear set of examples. Multiple other celebrities have undergone, and I'm taking these names of celebrities because people can generally relate to them rather than common women who have undergone egg freezing services with us. But it's a common phenomenon, and to tell you very frankly, we have a lot of women working in the corporate whose companies are supporting them. All the big FANG companies, Facebook, Google, Alphabet, Microsoft, all of them
So if you can
have.
elaborate by what do you mean by supporting them?
Though by supporting them, they're paying for the egg freezing services. They are telling you that if you're not ready, if you don't want to, go for a child right now, they are ready to pay as part of the benefit package for employees. They're ready to pay for the egg freezing services. So kind
And
of
any Indian companies doing it?
all these companies will have the benefit for, I think, for the Indian employees also, the big
Uh,
companies.
I mean, I'm talking about Indian
Please, as
companies
in,
as
you know, okay.
There still is a long way for the companies to think in that process. So right now the MNCs are already giving that support to all their female employees, but the Indian companies are still lagging behind over there.
in the West, the insurance
Please
companies do.
do cover this cost. In India, are you aware of any company that does this?
Though it should not be, I completely disagree with the fact that it's a choice based. Nobody wants to undergo IVF just for the sake of it. But as any skin procedure or any cosmetic procedure that is done, which is called elective, you are undergoing any hair transplant or any cosmetic procedure to your face or any dentist procedure. They're all under the Cosmetic Act or they're considered cosmetic, and hence they are not under any insurance. Similarly, IVF is fallen into that category and it is not covered under any insurance. It's purely out of pocket paid expenses, and
And,
people have to
uh,
pay whatever from their earnings.
and as you
Rightly
rightly
said, this is not something people are opting because they look good with that, like a plastic surgeon, right? In a case of plastic surgery, or they don't like some part of theirs, so they want to get it, remove it or make it better. This is something they come to know only once they cross that bridge, and then they realize they have this problem. So it should be treated, at par with any other ailments that we all go through emergency. I think that's something that probably Risaa IVF could take up as a case, to push for, for this to be, removed from elective to be something that should be covered by the insurance companies. And if you do that, MyStar TV, we would, back you up in that.
viewers, we are in
Conversation with Dr. Saarthak. Go ahead.
So you're saying, please believe me, I've really tried hard to voice this, policy advocacy over getting IVF into insurance. We've spoken to multiple insurance people, multiple insurance companies, even the government, that though they've now started offering. So as a funny fact, IVF, even in government hospitals, where almost all kind of treatments are free, IVF is chargeable in even government hospitals. So that should tell you that it's an expensive procedure, and even the government hospitals are not giving it for free. And it's high time that the government should realize that if you want to maintain the TFR rate of a country, whereas you're complaining that the population is not going to replenish because we are at 2.1, which is the global level of replenishment. So let's assume and let's start getting IVF into the mainstream and let's start getting insurance for them. I mean, it's a very normal procedure. It's been there for 47 years now. There are thousands of clinics in India itself. Everybody has undergone. You might not think, but There are so many couples that are just growing day by day, and it's such an untapped market. China, which is now a lesser population than ours, does 4 times more the number of amount of IVF cycles just because it's under insurance. And India, because you have to pay it out of pocket expenses, we are doing one-fourth the number of IVF cycles with more amount of population because of the fact that you have to pay it out of your own pockets.
Viewers, we are in
Conversation with Dr. Saarthak Bakshi, who's the co-founder of Risaa IVF, a clinic which has been providing IVF services to couples, childless couples, for over a decade plus. So, Saarthak, for the benefit of viewers out there, if you could, explain what are the difference between, IVF and fertility treatment, and then surrogacy.
Let me break it down for everyone so it becomes easy. That fertility is as simple. So you take the sperm from a man, you take the egg from a woman, and when they become one inside the body, that's how an embryo becomes a zygote, an embryo, and there are multiple terms called, and then the embryo grows inside the body. Now, say that this process is not happening inside the body for some reason. Could be multiple, could be from the man's side, could be from the women's side, could be everything is going fine, now both are fine, but it's not happening with them. So we take the sperm in the lab, we take the eggs out of the woman's body in the lab, we do an IVF, it's called in vitro fertilization. We make an embryo out of it. Now we have multiple embryos for a couple. We take that embryo from a cellular stage, from one cell here, one cell here. Now they've become one cell embryo. They start growing 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, and henceforth till there are millions of cells. On day 5, it is grown, this has become a bigger mass. We implant it back into a woman. That is called IVF. So now that's a normal procedure, but this is only in the case when we have tried other form of fertility treatments. Say if there is some sort of problem with the man and the woman is completely fine, we first try intrauterine insemination, IUI, which is for male infertility. Before that also there's ovulation induction, where we're trying to induce a woman to produce more eggs and do natural conception. So fertility treatment, IVF, is like the second penultimate thing if you're not able to conceive. Before that, there are certain form of, you are on medications, you're trying, then there are IUIs, and henceforth you go for IVF. Surrogacy is the last step where you know that we do the same IVF process, but instead of implanting it back into the woman, we implant into some other woman. And that's where it's called surrogacy. She's a surrogate mother who's going to be like your incubator for 9 months, who's going to hold the pregnancy for you. The baby is the sperm and the egg. The genetics is sperm and the egg. It has got nothing to do with the surrogate mother. It does not matter if the surrogate mother is 6 feet height or 5 feet or completely black. And I am an Australian, I'm a US citizen, I'm white and I have blonde hair. My wife is white and I'm blonde hair, and I've chosen a black African woman. The baby will be white with our genetics because that's a sperm and the egg. So that is surrogate mother for you. You have seen plenty of examples out in Bollywood which have undergone surrogacy. Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, Tushar Kapoor, Karan Johar, multiple others. They have all undergone surrogacy. It's a well thought out procedure. The government has a set of guidelines for people who can undertake surrogacy. So our industry has evolved. It's well regulated, and I can proudly say that if there is some problem that you're facing in conception, we are here for you. We know that we'll be able to help you in conception almost 99 to 100%.
And Risaa,
IVF provides support for all the both the infertility treatment and also IVF, because surrogacy, I think, in India is not allowed at this point in time.
Figure out the diagnosis. Once the diagnosis is there, then we go to the treatment part. What is the problem that both the man or the woman or individually, what is the problem? Unless we diagnose as what, then there is a treatment. IUI, IVF, surrogacy, whatever the treatment may be, we first have to understand that the problem, and then only we suggest what kind of treatment is required.
And just to close that point of surrogacy, you said there is no basically there is no amount of DNA that can, or the genetics transfer happens from the carrier to the child or the embryo during surrogacy.
So the chromosomes, like we are built up of 23 chromosomes and 23 chromosomes from the other partner side. So they combine together to give you 46 chromosomes, and that is what transferred. So all the genetics is in our chromosomes, and that is what is getting transferred. If I have certain thing that is being passed on from generations, say I have a thalassemia minor trait, and the surrogate might not have, and my wife does not have, but that can get transferred because I had that in my genetics, or I have that part of my chromosomal DNA.
So if you could,
Walk us through a typical IVF cycle from consulting to the implant of or transfer of embryo that you do as a clinic, Risaa IVF. If you can walk us through that process.
And foremost point is understanding the problem. How long have you been married? How many times do you try? If you are saying it's infertility, have you been trying and for the last 1 year and have failed in conception? Have you tried during the most fertile time? So a lot of counseling goes through back and forth to understand the problem. Once you understand that, the second most important thing is the diagnosis, where we do a simple sperm analysis for men, and we do an antral follicle count ultrasound for women, and an AMH blood test to understand the egg reserve, the egg pool, and both the quantity and the quality of eggs that is there. Once we get a fair picture, and we understand, okay, is there any problem with the semen quality, then we suggest for an IUI where the woman is fine. If there's not, they have tried, or if they have undergone 4 or 5 IVF cycles, IUI cycles, and have failed, only then we suggest to go for an IVF cycle. If there's a problem with the semen, if there's a problem with the women, and again, I'm telling you, this is a bit technical, since there are multiple reasons. If there's some sort of problem, the fallopian tubes are blocked, there's Asherman syndrome, there is PCOS, there's some sort of things through which the women can't get pregnant, then we directly have to suggest IVF. So instead of not going into the technical details, it's first and foremost important to understand, psychologically make people understand and help them believe that it's not a short process. We are in here for the journey with you. We might do an IVF cycle for you and it might fail. You should be mentally ready that it might take a little more time. But in our instance, what I tell you that whatever decision that the couple takes, please take it quick, because the biological age is not on their side. Between me and you, a lot of people delay this decision because they're looking for alternative form of treatments. Some would say कि कुछ आयुर्वेदा दवाई try करो, माता के घर जाओ, तिरुपति जाओ, कहीं और जाइए, let's try this, let's try acupuncture, yoga, some other things, so that we can have. All those things are good and healthy, but if there is a medical problem, it can only be treated through a medical solution, not through any other form of alternative things. I do not have anything against anyone, but any healthcare problem requires 100% certified healthcare solution.
well, I would say,
For the couples, while you try all that, when you do yoga, or Ayurvedic, or you believe in Almighty and try to go do that, but also why don't include this particular option where you go and get yourself test checked as well. Dr. Bakshi, when you talk about IVF, there has been a lot of technological improvement that has happened over a period of time, right? So today, where you are as Risaa IVF, where do you put yourself pan India as a center, as a treatment center?
Our presence is in North India, and we have a couple of centers in Nepal, where we are working and collaborating with a few other centers. So we're primarily present over here: Delhi, Nawashahar, Jalandhar, Dehradun, Bareilly, Pilipit, Kanpur, Karnal. We present, primarily across UP, Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, all these states, and then Nepal.
now that's quite a
Good footprint across the North India, right? Any plans of moving down south, east and west and northeast as a business?
Probably further up north. My future expansion plans lie in expanding up north and towards East India.
any particular reason?
I believe that south is very well covered, and even west. A lot of gaps lie now in tiered 3 and tier 2 or 4 cities where there is a lot of unmet demand. Awareness is not there. The literacy levels are there, but the fertility levels are not there in terms of the fertility education and awareness. And every of these towns is looking for some sort of ethical treatment that we can provide. There can be treatment providers, but when you come with a transparent, ethical, and a good business model to help couples, when you combine all of these things, there is a lot of scope in these tier 2 and 3 towns. And that's where I want to further expand towards East India, where I feel that there is still a lot of unmet demand. A lot of states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, and further northeast, this is the most unmet areas as compared to rest of India.
And one of the
Important criteria in India is the cost. So, if you could give an average cost that would what it cost a couple per cycle.
2 to 2.5 lakh. That's what an average cost of an IVF cycle comes out to be in India.
that's from consulting
to
to
Yeah, from everything, from consulting till the procedure, till everything. And astonishingly, we are the cheapest. I should not say cheapest, or the most affordable in the whole world
most
at a
affordable. Yeah.
price range of 2 to 2.5 lakhs. We are the most affordable. The same in US is 20,000 IVF dollars. In the US is up almost 10,000 euros. You name it, we are the most affordable across the world. There is no comparison to the prices of IVF that we have in India compared to any other country in the world.
And do you have
Any,
any
payment plans or financial assistance that you provide, and also, are there any banks that offer loans for such treatments?
Options. There are multiple flexible options. We could have collaborated with a lot of fintech companies and channel partners who are giving loans for the IVF treatment. Even if you can't afford 2 lakhs, they break it down into multiple installment over a period of 1 year, 2 year, 3 years for you. Bajaj Finserv to Save-In to G Money. There are a lot of people that we help. So we just want you to come to the center, and the rest will be taken care of by us. You don't need to worry about anything. You are in the safest possible hands, and we are here for you as your guardians, as your partners, as your support system to help you throughout your journey.
and how
How do you protect their because given the fact that in India it is still a taboo and couples and families don't want to talk about it, how secured is their information with you? What measures do you take?
It is completely from a privacy point of view. Their data is secure. We do not go out to their parents or to their loved ones or to anyone. If they're coming to us for treatment, we're counseling them. We are, in support with them. And the treatment is just between us and them. There's no third party involved. For us, they are the ones who are coming for treatment, and we are the ones who are treating them. Our relationship ends with them and starts with them. There is no one else that we need to report to about them in terms of their loved ones or families or relatives. And it's up to them if they share their journey with everyone else. Although we would love that they would tell about their journey to someone else, but that's their choice.
viewers, we are in conversation
With Dr. Saarthak Bakshi, who's the co-founder of Risaa IVF, a leading fertility clinic based out of North India. They in their 10 plus years of service, they have treated hundreds of thousands of couples through the treatment. So, Dr. Bakshi, you know, the whole journey and the process is emotionally taxing for couples, and especially, as you said, for the women. Do you have any counselors in house, or people who provide them that hand holding through the journey?
We have a whole team of psychologists, counselors. It's a big team, okay? And I just tell you that it's not easy to be successful or to give success to a couple. There's a lot of journey, So one of our unique points is that when the patient is on the operating room, is lying on the OT table, on the operating table, so there is, and since it's a daycare procedure, you're awake during the procedure of an embryo transfer. We have a psychologist right by the bed, right by her ear, standing next and constantly speaking to them. We're trying to comfort them. We're trying to be their supportive partner, constantly. How are you feeling? What goes inside you? Be hopeful, be happy. Imagine a child that you have. This is the kind of psychological support that we're giving to each and every patient, so that, anything, as I said, even a 1 percentage point chance of increasing our success rate, we would definitely go for it without understanding whatever cost it takes, because we know the amount of happiness that once you're pregnant, once you have a child, it is priceless. There was earlier ads of MasterCard or Visa that, money can't buy you happiness, but for everything else, there's a price, but some things are priceless. I believe that whatever we are doing, it's not only priceless, it's next to the most miraculous and amazing thing that anyone can do for anyone.
So, everything is
And
standardized, and
standardization
standardization
becomes today, you know, talking about quality and quality control is very important. So, are there any standards internationally and in India for IVF centers or clinics like yours, and where do you stand on that front?
The law does not say, again, IVF is a very sterile procedure. There can be no other procedure taking place in an operating theater if there is an IVF happening over there. Apart from the standards, we maintain very strict protocols related to the cleanliness, relating to the sterility of it. Just to give you a very layman example, so what we are doing is whatever happens inside the body, we're doing it outside. So you have to give a safe environment. You understand that whatever happens inside a woman's body, it's a closed loop, it's a closed system. It's at 37 point, the normal body temperature, 37.6 degrees Celsius is what you are happening outside inside the body. If you're handling gametes, if you're handling micro cells, it has to be at that temperature. Everything is maintained at that temperature. Once it is transplanted back, it is going through that temperature into that temperature back. The whole environment is as sterile as you can think about it. So when it comes to standards, I believe all IVF centers have to be that standards if they have to maintain success rates. Plus, we have all our witness system, all our tagging systems, and a lot of AI systems now we are trying to develop and use in-house to get better information and get better results for.
Thank you, Dr. Bakshi, for being on our show, and we hope
See you again on some of our panel discussions around fertility. Thank you, viewers, for joining us for such interesting conversation. Do join us from 4 to 6 p.m. live on our Founder Talk show and Thought Leader show. Thank you, Dr. Bakshi. Thank you very much. Same here. Thank you.